All right, hello everyone. I'm Mrs. Anderson, and I'm going to talk to you about the nuts and bolts of our gifted ELA class. And the reason why I made this video is because I have your kiddos for at least 2 hours of the day. And then some of you I teach math as well, so I'll have your kiddos for 3 hours of the day. So I thought it was important just to talk about some beginning of the year expectations so that we can have a successful time together. So this is going to be very informal. I'm actually going to show you my document camera and have some documents to show you that way. And feel free to email me if you have any questions, okay? We're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna change the camera so that it is showing on this screen right here. Okay, perfect. All right, so every Monday we write down what's for homework or any events happening that affect our schedule. So the kids see this from me the first day of every week. So if it's on a Monday, because there was no school Monday, then it would be on a Tuesday. We go ahead and write down homework, and then I give the homework for that week. And then if there aren't any homework assignments, we go ahead and write no homework so there's no confusion. We also jot down notes for any daily grades that are happening. And then what the kids do, it's their job, and they all have out their binders, it's their job to write all of this information down. Okay, so that there's no confusion. And then parents are more than welcome to sign. Some parents sign for the whole week, and that's good too, that's fine. Sign for the whole week at one time, that's fine. And they go ahead and put down any future things that are happening. So what we tend to do is we look at like a month at a glance, and I'll say, okay, guys, we have a daily grade next week, or we have the iReady screener coming up where it's a diagnostic test where the kids are it's going to take about 40 to 50 minutes, and they jot that down so that they know, okay, this isn't a grade, but it's just like a pre-test to see how well I'm doing in reading. It's going to take almost an hour to complete, and there's 2 parts. These are county tests, so they can't get out of it, and it's on the computer. So they know, okay, so for 2 days next week, I won't have ELA because I'll be taking this diagnostic test. We also jot down when we'll meet with Mrs. Amolo for our book clubs, and like when our narrative writing pieces are due. We talk about like when we're going to the library or any other things happening in our schedule to where we want to know ahead of time. So I try to give them a month at a glance. And what I typically also make, this is just, it helps me, is a calendar, okay? And I'll give this to them and we'll go over it together. Like, here are some happenings, like curriculum night is coming up, or there's a book mobile supposed to happen on Friday. So we look at like tentatively all the assessments that we have for that month or any special events happening. Of course, things may be subject to change. Like I put tentative date here for a common assessment that they may be taking. Some things I know for sure, some things are tentative. Also, plans change, and I'll give them advance notice if it changes, but this is our itinerary so far. And then what the kids do, see if she has her copy, what they do is they can color code it, because I do it with them in class. So like this particular student doesn't have me for math. So she crosses out things that don't relate to math, okay, for me. And she's highlighting other things that may impact our ELA block. If kids are in my math class, then they might have something that looks like this, where they've highlighted things and they don't have anything crossed out. But this is just something that I give to my ELA students because we have a lot going on throughout our days and our weeks and our months, and just want to make sure we're all organized. I typically do email this out to parents and put this on Google Classroom. I just didn't do it for the month of August because it's a new school year, and we have some new things that we've added here with the iReady screeners and this common formative assessment from the county. So I just kind of wanted to play around with it first, like what does that look like, or how long is that truly going to take? And then once I get like a good groove with these new county formative assessments, then I can plot them into monthly calendars, because we'll do common formative assessments in reading and math every month. Basically at the end of every unit that we teach, the county gives like a 15 question assessment to see what the kids have learned. This takes the place of the district assessments that we normally would do. And then the iReady screeners are something that we're only going to be doing in August, January, and May. But then we'll also have like a Georgia milestone practice thing. We're just some new assessments happening this year that I wanted to get a hang of before I totally send this out to parents. But typically every month I will give you a month at a glance. The biggest thing to know is that this is what we anticipate to happen. Of course, there may be things where we say, okay, guys, change of plans. Our reading comprehension daily grade will be on Tuesday or something like that. And they can change it on their calendar. So that's just an example I wanted to show you of what we do at the beginning of every week. And then our month at a glance, we typically only talk about that once that month, and then we're not going to talk about it again to the next month unless something changes. Okay, but this is like a nice little calendar. I know some kids last year would post this up somewhere in their room or put in their binder to help them keep track of all assessments. We'll also write them down in our agendas. And I'll remind them every week. At the beginning of every week, I'm going to remind them what assessments or assignments we have. Okay, so now jumping towards reading. All right, right now we're reading City Spies. The kids are loving it. This was a story that was recommended to us actually from Mrs. Amolo, and decided to give it a try. And so far it's super good, and you're more than welcome to buy a copy for your child, and they can follow along with me when I read it aloud in class. You may hear other 5th grade students reading this with their teacher as their extended read aloud. I decided not to read this because 99% of the kids in my class this year read it last year in 4th grade. So I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense to read it again. So we're reading City Spies, and I'm actually pretty happy about that. But we may go back to reading what the other 5th grade students are reading in the second 9 weeks, the third 9 weeks, and the fourth 9 weeks, if it's a book that most of the kids in my class have never read. Okay. Also, so again, reminding you about Mrs. Amolo's book club. So every 9 weeks, the kids will be able to basically look at some books that were selected by Mrs. Amolo. And these are books that won awards. Okay, these are all award-winning books. As you can see, most of them have their awards. So they're kid appropriate, approved through the county. Mrs. Amolo does like a readers rally competition. So some of these books were previous books read in readers rally as well. And what we do is we let the kids watch a book trailer on it, and then they get to vote on which books they would prefer to read. They're going to read 3 out of the 4 books. So every month we'll switch books. Okay, except for one of these books your kid doesn't have to read. It's up to them. If they find it super boring or not interested, that's fine. But we try to get diverse books. So example, this is a historical fiction book that took place during World War II, I believe. And it's about a girl who was actually a bully in the town and what happens to this young lady. And the main character is not a bully though, but how does she handle the bully in the town? This family has superpowers. So you have some sci-fi going on here. This one is another historical fiction book, but this is about a young lady who lived in India during the time when India and Pakistan became 2 separate countries, and her experience. And she's only like about 12 years old, and she writes diary entries about her experience. And her mom had passed away, so she's writing to her mom every day about like some of the things that are happening while she's experiencing this divide in her country. The Hatchet is about a kid who has to survive in the wilderness. His goes to a plane crash, and he's the lone survivor, and how does he survive to get back to his family? So pretty good books, and every 9 weeks we try to give them a variety of choices. So this is one of their choices, and then we'll do some more books. So by the end of the school year, your child would have read they would have read 3, 6, 9, like 12 books. So in our class, so lots of reading. Your child is in here because they're a good reader. But what they also have to do is write a response. So they're used to this in 4th grade. They had to write a reading response at the end of their books that they read with Mrs. Amolo. So let me clarify that. So those last 4 books that I showed you, those are the ones that I'll be grading to see if you understood what was happening. We'll have book club discussions on it throughout the week, and I'll be assigning chapters for homework. And that's what's going to be graded. Your child can also read books for fun in the classroom. This is a side note. So like I had these 2 books, and some of the kids are reading this for fun. All right, nice thick chapter books. This one is this one right here is a graphic novel. And they don't have to, they do not have to write book responses on the books that they choose to read for fun on their own. There's not part of a book club. I do have two boys that are reading this together. But this is not, I'm not going to make them write about every single book that they've read, because then they would probably hate reading after that. So this is only based on our book club books, okay? So let me give you an example in just a second, but I want to show you, they're going to receive point values for a score. This will come home, so your child will put this in their binder. I usually sit with the kids and talk to them about it. So last year, last year, one of our book club books was Number the Stars. And this is an example of a reading response, all right? So they would put their title, their name, a brief introduction, and then they get to choose 3 of the 5 categories, and we'll go over this together in class, where they choose interest, character, plot, setting, originality. Choose 3 of these things to talk about and make it relate, obviously, to the story that you read. So this person, when she wrote about Number the Stars, she wanted to talk about characters in the story, and this particular character, Anne-Marie, is who she's going to dive into. And her opinion about Anne-Marie. Was she brave? Was she annoying? Was she fun to be around? Either character trait you give, you have to provide details about the story, okay? And that's how I know you read the story, because you're going to provide evidence. Like it says, you know, for example, on page 75 and 76, and then she goes into detail. She quotes directly from the book and then explains why this part of the book shows the character development in this with this particular character in the story. Okay, so, and then what I do is I'll circle, okay, how do you get excellent? You know, give me 1 second. My AC is running off, and I want to turn it off if I can. Which I don't think okay, I think it's finally coming off, because I feel like I'm yelling as I'm talking. All right, so basically, I would look at her response and I'd say, okay, she gives the title and the author. She gives a summary at the beginning that looks like she read the story. I can understand all the pieces. Like I said, this takes place here in 1943, when the Nazis invade some of the towns and put the Jewish kids in concentration camps. So this is told from the perspective of a young girl during that time. Her conventions are good. She has good grammar, capitalization, punctuation, and spelling. And the conclusion is at the end here, just wrapping up their book response, and if they would recommend this to someone and how they would rate the story. And then this person chooses their section, like she has originality. Did she think this was an original idea or concept? Has she read books like this before? And then she needs to explain why or why not. Setting, how was the setting important to the story? She's going to provide details from the text to support her thinking and evidence to support that, okay? And then again, like I said, with characters. So this particular child made 100 on their reading response. And so what I do is I print this out for the students. I'll make comments on it, not too many, because I'm not trying to overwhelm your child, but make comments on it. I'll show the rubric, and then I'll hand this to them to put in their binder, so that the next time they do a reading response, they'll know if they did well or what are some things to improve on for next time, okay? So that's reading. Let's head over to writing. Right now we're doing narrative writing. I'm not going to go into like all the details of like the entire curriculum, because that's what your homeroom teacher is doing. They're going over curriculum night details. So what I mainly want to talk about are like the nuts and bolts of how to do really well or succeed in this particular room. So one of the genres that we study is narrative writing. I'll guide them on their first piece. So this is an example of someone, she's typing about the time she got in a car accident. I tell the kids it's okay to stretch the truth, because it may, you may have experienced something, or you've written about this so many times, you've run out of ideas. So it's okay to embellish. It's okay as long as you are the main character, as long as it is realistic. There's no, like I said, there's no pigs flying in the sky. But you can embellish as long as it is believable and it is a personal, it seems like a personal narrative. You are the main character of this event is happening to you. But this student uses descriptive details, dialogue, they have spacing going on their paragraphs, sound words, This was their first narrative, so we'll see improvements throughout the school year, but this child overall did a good job. I too will sit with your child and kind of jot down some of my thinking on their narratives and how they can improve. And then I'll provide a rubric to them. They will have this copy in their binder. You can take a look at it, and then that way you know, did you get all the points? If not, I'll specify where you may not have gotten all the points. So I'll usually circle, okay, you get a distinguished in ideas and organization. I'll break down to them what each section means. Did you elaborate? Did you have good style and craft and good conventions? Okay. And again, it's just practice the first time around. The second narrative, we'll write 2 genres back to back. So we'll do like a narrative piece. We'll do informational, we'll do opinion. Last year we even did memoirs. So, but they'll always have 2 chances. So the first narrative will count as a daily grade where you'll get guidance from me. The second narrative will count as a test grade where you'll get less guidance from me. Okay. And we'll repeat that same pattern for other topics. All right. I believe that is all that I want to say. Let me see if I can change my camera view for just a second. Thank you for bearing with me. I think that's it as far as like the nuts and bolts of our ELA class. We try to have lots of discussions. Eventually we'll get into our book club books as soon as we receive them from Mrs. Amolo. And again, they'll have that for homework, but just good overall discussions and thinking happening within our Gifted ELA class, where the students can really talk to other kids who enjoy reading and writing as well, and who are high readers and high writers, so that we can continue to improve and motivate each other to learn. So I think that's it. That's the gist. Email me if you have any questions. Hope you enjoy watching this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.